After a childhood sweetheart's romance, I hid and cried my eyes out. His rival gave me a crazy idea: date me and make him furious. I stared at the collar of his shirt, at the faint glimpse of his collarbone. Are we talking innocent, or are we going all in? His tall frame cast a shadow over me, his chest muscles almost brushing my nose. I suggest we go all in. I specifically wore the dress Julian had complimented, excitedly rushing to his birthday party. The banquet hall was noisy, and I stood on tiptoe, searching for him in the crowd. But my eyes immediately landed on him, holding hands with Chloe. The smile on my lips instantly froze. The entire buzz of the party seemed to revolve around them. Julian held a glass of champagne in one hand, while the other remained clasped tightly with the girls. He occasionally shielded her from drinks, leaning in to whisper something in her ear, his eyes full of tenderness. Watching their intimate gestures, a pang of bitterness welled up inside me. Just a few days ago, he had earnestly advised me, "You're still young, focusing on your studies is important." How could he be holding someone else's hand so soon? And smiling so happily? I retreated to a corner, downing one fancy cocktail after another, my chest tight with a suffocating feeling. The treasure I had guarded for so many years was just snatched away. What was even worse, the girl who stole him was so dazzling. Perhaps it was the alcohol, magnifying every ounce of my bitterness several times over. Unbidden tears streamed down my face. Afraid of being seen in such a sorry state, I secretly slipped onto the second-floor terrace. I pathetically curled up by the glass railing, burying my face in my arms and sobbing softly. I hadn't even started dating, and I was already heartbroken. As I was lost in my sorrow, a clean scent of tobacco drifted over. "Stella, why are you hiding here and crying?" A lazy voice suddenly spoke close to my ear. Only then did I realize someone had appeared beside me. I quickly wiped my tears and looked up. Ryder was leaning idly against the glass railing, a half-smoked cigarette between his fingers, watching me with a wry smile. I awkwardly shuffled a bit further away. "None of your business." I glared at him fiercely, though my voice still trembled with tears. Ryder, instead of getting angry, chuckled. "Oh, crying your eyes out and still so feisty?" I ignored him, burying my face back into my arms. He didn't seem to care, casually stubbing out his cigarette. Then he slowly walked over and crouched beside me. He tilted his head, staring at me. "Crying like a cat because Julian started dating?" His words hit a raw nerve again, and I immediately turned my head away, not wanting him to see my expression. Ryder lazily straightened up, leaning against the railing and looking down. "Hey, and his girlfriend are having a hard time letting go of each other." I hugged my knees tightly, suddenly bursting into sobs. "You're so annoying." He looked at me playfully. "Just now you said I was annoying, and now it's so annoying?" After I finished crying, Ryder slowly spoke. "So upset? Want some advice from your bro?" I looked up with red eyes. "What advice?" He curled his lips into a cocky and mischievous smile. "Date me, and make him furious." Seeing I didn't react, he added, "Your bro is tall and handsome, you won't regret it." He deliberately drew out his words. Imagine if he finds out the girl he watched grow up has been stolen by his rival? He'd be livid. I blinked my tear-filled eyes, and surprisingly, it actually made some sense. They say the best way to forget an old flame is to find a new one. I hesitated for a long time, finally gathering the courage to look up. "So, when you date, are we talking innocent, or are we going all in?" Ryder clearly froze for a moment, then chuckled softly. He pulled me up, leaning down close to my ear. His voice was seductive. "I suggest we go all in. After all, I've got a better body, I'm more handsome, and I'm better than him. You won't find a deal like this anywhere else." 02. My ears burned, and I hastily pushed him away. "You're being a pervert." But he pulled me back into his embrace, whispering with a low chuckle, "This isn't being a pervert. This is called a sincerity display." His finger suggestively hooked my clothes. "Want to check it out?" I was too embarrassed to look, but out of the corner of my eye, I saw Julian downstairs, gently wiping cream from the girl's lips. My heart suddenly tightened, and an inexplicable impulse surged through me. I took a deep breath, stood on tiptoe, and quickly brushed my lips against his. Ryder visibly froze, then a helpless yet doting smile spread in his eyes. He raised his hand, gently brushing my cheek with his thumb, his voice suddenly dropping a few notes. "Silly girl, that's not how you kiss." Before I could react, his hand was already cupping the back of my head, and he leaned down to kiss me. The kiss carried a faint scent of tobacco, tender yet dominant. My eyes instantly widened, my body tensed, and my teeth unconsciously bit my lower lip. My heart felt like it was about to burst. "Open up," he murmured, looking down at me, a subtle, doting smile playing on his lips. In a daze, I relaxed my grip, and he immediately took advantage. His fingers threaded through my hair, gently applying pressure, forcing me to tilt my head back, our lips and tongues entwined. His clean scent instantly filled my lungs. In no time, I was completely enveloped in his scent. The kiss slowly transformed from tender to fiercely predatory, as if he meant to devour me. When I was almost suffocating, I couldn't resist biting his lip. Only then did he reluctantly let go. I stood there, my face flushed. Seeing the small bleeding cut on his lip, I stammered, "I didn't mean to." He lightly licked the wound, raising an eyebrow. "Quite a bite, huh? Well, it's your fault." I glared at him indignantly. "You were kiss. Sing like you wanted to eat me alive." Ryder suddenly burst out laughing, reaching up to ruffle my hair. "All right, if you like to bite, you can bite me every day from now on." I swatted his hand away. "You seem very experienced." He chuckled softly, his thumb and forefinger cupping my chin, forcing me to look up. "I have other experiences too. Want to try them?" I abruptly turned my face away. Who knows how many people this guy had practiced with? As I was seething with embarrassment, I suddenly caught a glimpse of Julian downstairs, staring intently at us. I instinctively bit my numb, tingling lips, the tips of my ears burning even redder. Ryder pulled me close, wrapping his arm around me. He lowered his head, then provocatively lifted his chin towards Julian, smiling cocky and mischievous. He looked as smug as a peacock displaying its feathers. I poked his firm chest. "You're sneakily mischievous." "Tisk," he pinched my cheek. "How can you talk about your boyfriend like that?" I turned my head and snorted. "Who said yes to you?" Ryder simply laughed in exasperation, gently pinching the back of my neck. "Stella, you know this is freeloading, right?" I looked up and glared at him. "Oh, please. You kiss like you're an expert, stop pretending to be innocent." He suddenly leaned in close. "This kind of thing. Men are born knowing how to do it." Seeing my disbelieving expression, he added in a lower voice, "Of course, sometimes a little study material helps." My face instantly turned crimson from my ears to my neck. "You want some resources?" He mischievously ruffled my hair, high definition, and censored. "Get away." I elbowed him. He chuckled softly, catching my fist, then brushed his thumb against my burning cheek. "All right, just teasing you." 03. The party broke up close to midnight. Ryder shamelessly insisted on walking me home. I watched him get into his car, then turned to leave. "Hey," he suddenly called out to me. I took 2 steps closer, puzzled, only him to suddenly cup the back of my neck. A hard kiss landed on my lips, leaving them numb. "Why don't you ever stop kissing?" I covered my mouth and glared at him. He curled his lips into a cocky and mischievous smile. "I'm addicted to kissing you. You should head back quickly, it's too late." His hand rested on the steering wheel when he suddenly seemed to remember something. "Wait, I won't get a DUI, will I? Did you drink?" I frowned. "Me? No," he chuckled, "but you drank a lot, and we just kissed for so long. If they find out, it'll affect our kids' future careers." I smacked him. "Dream on." Too annoyed to deal with this rogue, I turned and walked home. In the night, Julian's house was not far ahead. Just as I reached Julian's house, he suddenly called out, "Stella." I stopped and turned to look at him. "Yes? When did you and Ryder get together?" He frowned, his tone carrying an inexplicable accusation. My chest immediately felt tight, and I remained silent, my face cold. He sighed. "Someone like him is just for fun, don't take it too seriously." "Julian," I cut him off directly, "by what right do you tell me what to do? He's my boyfriend now, and it's not your place to judge him," I said, then turned and walked away. I'm extremely protective of my own. No matter what, Ryder was my boyfriend now, and it wasn't up to someone who already had a girlfriend to criticize him. His words instantly turned me off. Actually, Ryder and I had also known each other since we were kids. When I was little, my parents were busy with work, so they sent me to my grandparents' house. That area was full of old-fashioned brick courtyards, with neighbors separated only by a wall. Those who were close even had small gates in their walls for easy visits. The family lived next door to my grandparents' house. Back then, I was young, and Grandpa, afraid I'd be lonely, often dragged Ryder from next door to play with me. But this guy had been a little troublemaker since he was a kid, with a sharp tongue and a knack for teasing. I often bore the brunt of his antics when I was little. That's why, when I grew up, I was so fascinated by the gentle and refined Julian. He always acted like a mature, steady older brother, gentle and considerate, always helping me solve all my problems. Unlike that annoying Ryder, who was always either teasing me or calling me stupid. "Stella, is your head just for decoration?" Would it kill you to use it? Crying again? Your nose is running and you're ugly crying, it's disgusting. With that fierce attitude of yours, who would dare marry you in the future? But had his reliable moments too. When other kids bullied me, even though he'd call me a troublemaker, he'd still shield me and clumsily wipe my tears. When I didn't do well on a test, he would deliberately pull out his own failing test paper. Look at your brother's score. You got a 99 and you're still crying? What a genius. In the early morning, I groggily reached for my phone, and Ryder's unread messages had exploded on my lock screen, dozens of them. I jumped, scared. Could he really have gotten a DUI? I quickly opened it to check. 0:30, home safe. 0:31, good night. 1:05, asleep? 3:20, you better not be ghosting me. 8 o'clock, good morning baby. 10:15, Stella, are you a pig? Still not up? 11 o'clock, smile, reply right now, immediately. 11:01, or I'm going to grandpa to propose right now. I was so scared I replied instantly, I'm up. I'm up. Can't you be a little less clingy? You're being super clingy in a relationship. The chat box immediately showed Ryder is typing. What's ambition when I have you? Besides, who kissed whom first last night? I scoffed at the screen, but my lips involuntarily curved upward. 04, when school started, I became a sophomore. Ryder, Julian, and I were all at Westwood University. I was especially shocked when I heard Ryder got into Westwood University, since he never used to study. I even thought his dad had donated a building to the school for him to get in. But it turned out he got in fair and square, on his own merit. Just after class, I pulled out my phone, and Ryder's urgent message popped up. There's a basketball game at school today. It was followed by 3 bomb emojis. That jerk had threatened me last night, saying I had to come watch him play, and warned me I'd be in big trouble if he didn't see me there. Sure enough, he was already rushing me even before it started. By the time I ran to the court, almost out of breath, the stands were already packed. I stood on tiptoe, searching for ages, but couldn't even spot him. Just as I was about to find an empty seat, someone grabbed me from behind. Ryder, that shameless guy, immediately intertwined his fingers with mine. I struggled twice but couldn't break free. He tightened his grip instead. Stay put, you might get lost in the crowd, he said, then dragged me to a front row seat and pressed down on my shoulders to make me sit. Right in front of me, he ripped off his t-shirt, revealing his 8-pack abs. A chorus of screams immediately erupted from the stands behind us. The t-shirt, still warm from his body, was tossed onto my face. How about that? He leaned in, ridiculously smug. Your boyfriend's so popular, shouldn't you keep a closer eye on him? I pushed his face away with a look of disgust. But he just laughed even more arrogantly. He turned my face, making me look directly towards Julian. Chloe was on her tiptoes, kissing Julian, who was smiling as he ruffled her hair. See that? Ryder pinched my chin, forcing me to turn my head. They have it, and so should we. I blinked innocently, pretending not to understand, and then he firmly cupped my face and kissed me. From now on, your eyes are only allowed to be on me, got it? He commanded possessively. I nodded, trying to suppress my laughter. If you dare look at anyone else. His thumb brushed my lips. I'll kiss your mouth raw later. Aren't you annoying? I swatted his hand away. One last one. He suddenly softened his voice, then leaned down and kissed me again. As a result, Ryder played the entire game as if he were on stimulants. He was particularly aggressive whenever he was up against Julian. While had always had a rivalry with Julian, today he showed absolutely no mercy. He defended Julian so tightly the entire game that I'd never seen Julian look so upset. Ryder, on the other hand, was unbelievably smug, winking at me every time he scored. Another three-pointer swished through the net, and the crowd's cheers were loud enough to blow the roof off. The outcome was never in doubt. After the game, Ryder casually slicked back his sweat-dampened hair, revealing his alluring face. Sweat trickled down his jawline, and he was radiating pure testosterone. When the final whistle blew, Ryder strode over to sit beside me. He grabbed his water bottle and chugged, drops of water spilling from the corners of his mouth, tracing a path down his bobbing Adam's apple and disappearing into his collar. I pulled out a tissue and haphazardly wiped his neck a couple of times. He suddenly grabbed my wrist, his Adam's apple bobbing again. Touching someone's Adam's apple means you have to take responsibility, understand? You're crazy. I twisted a pinch of flesh on his waist. He gasped, laughing, then took the opportunity to intertwine his fingers with mine. The clammy stickiness of his palm was uncomfortable, and just as I was about to pull my hand away, he glared, making me stop. The referee's whistle blew, and players from both teams slowly stood up. Ryder, however, remained sprawled beside me. Aren't you playing? I poked his firm arm. He nodded towards the scoreboard. If I keep playing, your Julian might just go home crying for his mommy. His expression was incredibly smug. Why are you always picking on him? I whispered. Ryder suddenly leaned in. You really don't know why I hate him? Seeing me shake my head in confusion, he chuckled dismissively, resting his arm on the back of my chair. Stella, where have all your romance novels gotten you? His words left me speechless. A man's heart is a mystery. After left the court, the whole stadium felt much emptier. The game itself wasn't as exciting anymore. We hadn't sat for long before he started packing his backpack. Leaving already? I looked up and asked him. What else? Ryder retorted coldly, watch your Julian. I deliberately blinked. Yep, he just laughed in exasperation, his large hand cupping the back of my neck and pulling me closer. Alright, I'm noting this down. You'll get it later. He was smiling, but it sent shivers down my spine. Fine, I won't watch then. I shrugged, you spoil sport. 05, Grandpa called in the afternoon, insisting I come back to the family home for dinner. After the game, I simply hitched a ride in Ryder's car. But when dinner was served, a certain someone who should have been next door was brazenly sitting at our dining table, even eagerly helping Grandpa set the tableware. Why are you so diligent? I mumbled, watching his busy figure. Ryder glanced at me nonchalantly. Just then, Grandpa suddenly sighed. Ah, indeed, other people's children are so much more sensible. I chewed on my chopsticks, feigning a smile. Isn't that the truth? Other people's children are treasures, while your own are like weeds. Grandpa glared at me. Ryder, being incredibly smooth, poured Grandpa a glass of fine-aged scotch. Grandpa, I specially borrowed this from my dad's private collection. Care to try? Grandpa took a sip, his eyes instantly narrowing into slits. Excellent. Ryder always remembers me. Ryder raised an eyebrow at me, his face practically screaming. What can you do about it? I gnashed my back teeth, muttering, masterful tactics. He nodded with a smile. I appreciate the compliment. Seeing these two playing off each other, I immediately turned and shouted, Grandma. Ryder stole liquor for Grandpa, eh? Andy, he poured him a big glass. Grandpa's hand shook, almost knocking over his glass. My little troublemaker. Keep your voice down, please. From the kitchen came Grandma's booming voice. Grandpa. Are you sneaking drinks again? Grandpa's eyes widened in alarm. No. The kiddo is talking nonsense. I narrowed my eyes and smiled at him. Grandpa, who's your real granddaughter, anyway? Grandpa was so angry he stamped his foot. You're the most troublesome. Only then did I contentedly quiet down, casually downing Grandpa's leftover drink in one gulp, then stealthily refilling the glass with juice. After dinner, Ryder stubbornly insisted on taking me for a walk. As soon as we stepped out, he refused to let go of my hand. I nervously looked around. What if someone sees us? He tightened his grip instead. So what if they see? What if Grandpa hears about it? Ryder suddenly stopped, put his hands on his hips, and glared at me. Stella. He laughed in exasperation. How did I never notice you were like this before? What kind of person am I? I asked, completely bewildered. He suddenly leaned in close, his dark eyes staring intently at me. You've already kissed me, and now you want to date without responsibility? You won't even give me a proper title. I'm worse than a gigolo, he sneered. They at least get paid. I'm paying and still have to be a secret lover? I was speechless. Who tells their parents when they're dating? What if we break up later? That would be so embarrassing. Break up? His eyes instantly turned dangerous. Stella, say that again? I hunched my shoulders. Who can say what will happen in the future? The moment the words left my mouth, I knew I was doomed. Ryder's face instantly darkened. He pulled his hand away and turned to leave. I stood rooted to the spot. But after only a few steps, he turned back, gritting his teeth. Stella, I'm very angry right now. I honestly nodded. Yeah, I can tell. I wanted to reach for his hand, but he wouldn't let me, putting his hands behind his back. Are you just going to leave me hanging? His voice was muffled, his face full of grievance. I'd never consoled anyone before, and I stammered for a long time, unable to form a sentence. Ryder hung his head, like a large, abandoned dog. You don't even want to comfort me? I know I can't compare to your Julian. He lowered his eyelashes, his voice almost inaudible. But since you chose to be with me, can you please take this a little more seriously? If you act like this, I'll be scared. His sapple bobbed. What if I can't believe in love anymore? The family has only one male heir per generation. Seeing him getting increasingly outrageous, I quickly covered his mouth. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I won't say such things again. He gently pulled my hand away, sighing, though your apology is pretty half-hearted. Still. I sighed helplessly, then what do you need to calm down? Ryder suddenly started doubting himself, am I being too dramatic? No, not at all, I quickly shook my head. I see other girlfriends comforting their boyfriends, his gaze flickered, they all involve kisses and hugs. With him saying all that, it would be tactless for me to keep pretending not to understand. Then lean down, I said, blushing, tugging at his shirt, kiss me once and you can't be mad anymore. Ryder obediently lowered his head. I stood on tiptoe and quickly kissed him. But this guy wasn't satisfied, I heard that when other people kiss, they extend. Before he could finish, I wrapped my arms around his neck and kissed him fiercely. The next second, he took control. He cupped the back of my head, deepening the kiss, our lips and tongues entwining fiercely and urgently, leaving my legs weak. I was just about to pull away and catch my breath, but the large hand at the back of my head tightened its grip. Who said you could run? His voice was hoarse. Wait. My protest was immediately swallowed by his kiss. Tioch. A warm yellow alley lamp stretched our intertwined shadows long, and in the quiet alleyway, only our intimate sounds remained. When I was finally released, my entire face was so hot I felt like I could fry an egg on it. My lips were numb and swollen from his kisses, and I angrily punched him. Look. They're all swollen. No more kissing. Ryder chuckled softly, burying his face in the crook of my neck, his warm breath sending a slight shiver through me. Somehow, I felt like I'd fallen into a trap, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. 06. After our walk, as I lay sprawled on my bed scrolling through TikTok, I suddenly spotted Ryder's profile picture in my recommendations. I clicked on it and found a tutorial video titled 30 Tips to Make Girlfriend You, show appropriate vulnerability to trigger her protective instincts, maintain physical fitness to preserve sexual tension, create a sense of insecurity to make her jealous. Well, no wonder something felt off. A sly manipulator, with impressive tactics. I smirked and opened our chat. What are you up to? Smile emoji. Ryder instantly replied, working out, baby, muscle emoji. Are you going to put on a face mask too? He actually played along. Baby really gets me, heart emoji. I immediately sent him a screenshot of the video, with his prominent profile picture in the recommendations highlighted with a red circle. The chat box immediately showed Ryder is typing. After a long pause, he sent 6 dots. I could almost picture his defeated expression staring at his phone, and I instantly felt refreshed. Just as I was about to turn off my phone and go to sleep, notification sounds exploded. Ryder sent several messages in a row. Baby, my abs don't seem to be working anymore. Crying emoji. The accompanying photo, however, showed 8 distinct abs, glistening under the light. Sweat beads clung to his pale skin in the photo, and if you opened the live photo, you could even see the drop sliding down and his V-line towards his waistband. Immediately after, he sent a mirror selfie. My muscle definition also doesn't seem clear enough. I stared at the screen, shamelessly swallowing, my hand typing faster than my brain. Next one. Are you going to take off your pants? A video call invitation instantly popped up, startling me into pressing hang up. My phone suddenly vibrated, and a voice message popped up. My hand trembled as I tapped it open, and Ryder's laughing, deep voice immediately boomed in my ear. Didn't you want to see? Why are you backing out now? I instantly replied, who wants to see? Go to sleep. After sending it, I threw my phone far away, covered my wildly beating heart, and flopped onto the bed. I rolled around in bed, wrapping myself in the blanket like a cocoon. Finally, I just buried my burning face in the pillow. I cursed under my breath, Ryder, that charming devil. 07. Before break, Ryder relentlessly pestered me to go on a trip. I had originally planned to just lounge around at home for 7 days, but that guy actually started whining like a puppy. Baby, just the two of us, please. In the end, I couldn't resist his persistent coaxing and agreed. We had originally booked 2 hotel rooms, but when we checked into the hotel, we ran into an elderly couple with white hair struggling at the front desk because they couldn't book online. Once we entered the scenic area, we realized all the hotel rooms were fully booked. I tugged at Ryder's shirt. How about we give one of our rooms to that elderly couple? Ryder looked up at the elderly couple, who were supporting each other, then suddenly lowered his head and gave me a knowing smile. Whatever you say. It was only when I actually entered the same hotel room with Ryder that I started to regret it. This guy, on the other hand, was in high spirits, humming a tune as he unpacked his luggage. I procrastinated for a long time, finally managing to blurt out, How are we going to sleep tonight? Ryder stopped, looking at me with a half smile. Just one bed. What do you think? I nervously twisted the bed sheets. I think some things are better left until after marriage. Ryder was momentarily stunned, then chuckled softly. Funny, I was afraid you might lose control. My face instantly fell. You're really overthinking it. After showering, I deliberately arranged the pillows to form a clear demarcation line. Whoever crosses it is a puppy. Ryder perfunctorily grunted in response. Just as I was about to fall asleep, a wolf howl suddenly echoed from outside the window. I was so scared I immediately rolled over to his side. Ryder, is that a wolf? Ryder calmly grunted. When the second howl sounded, I completely burrowed into the blanket, trembling. The wolf sounds like it's right downstairs. Yep, he said, a smile in his voice. Maybe it's trying to pry open the window. I unconsciously snuggled closer to him. Suddenly, a warmth spread across my waist as his hand firmly wrapped around me. He pulled me into his embrace. If you're scared, just hold me. I'll reluctantly take you in for the night. I dutifully nestled against his chest and nodded. As the wolf howls faded, the warmth in his arms made me feel increasingly secure. My eyelids grew heavy, and I finally fell asleep to the sound of his steady breathing. As I was half asleep, I heard Ryder sigh, this is going to kill me. Then the space beside me emptied, and I heard the bathroom door close. Soon after, I suddenly needed to use the restroom, so I squinted and fumbled my way to the bathroom door. Pushing the door open, I found Ryder shirtless, scrubbing my underwear in his hand. I instantly sobered up. Ryder, you're a pervert. Ryder's movements paused, and he slowly straightened up. I distinctly remembered hanging my underwear in the dryer after my shower. It got dirty, he said, shaking the fabric in his hand, his tone as casual as if discussing the weather. I was first bewildered, but and it clicked, my entire face burned crimson. You're shameless. Ryder looked innocent. Baby, you were rubbing against me in my arms, any man would lose control. But you can't take my. I was so angry I could barely speak. He seized the opportunity to steal a kiss. Then next time, I'll just ask you for help directly? His finger suggestively hooked my pajama strap. I immediately blushed from head to toe and turned to flee. I had barely taken half a step when he grabbed me. Why are you running? Let go. I struggled with all my might. He just laughed. Weren't you going to the restroom? When I lay back in bed, I hugged the very edge, wishing there was room for two more people between us. But stretched out his long arm, pulled me directly into his embrace, and shamelessly buried his head in the crook of my neck. So cold. But his whole body was as hot as a furnace. I squirmed and struggled in his arms, but he firmly gripped my waist. If you move again, something's really going to happen. Then let go. He leaned down and bit my neck, muttering, I'm happy to suffer for this. 08. I woke up to find myself sprawled over Ryder like a koala. The collar of my pajamas was wide open, and someone's hand was shamelessly tucked inside, pressed against my waist. I immediately pinched the soft flesh on his side. Ow. He frowned and opened his eyes, his voice still raspy. Morning. Hands off. He mumbled a response, but his fingers honestly pinched again. I had just raised my leg to kick him when he grabbed my ankle. You can't kick that, he smirked, using his knee to push my leg open. It concerns your happiness for the rest of your life. As he spoke, he grabbed my hand and led it to his abs. How about you touch me back? I rolled my eyes and said nothing. I gave the soft flesh on his waist a hard twist. Ryder, is your skin made of fortress walls? He chuckled, his chest rumbling. Just noticing? Seeing the dark circles under his eyes, and remembering Deanne slept well last night, my heart softened, and I stopped bothering him. But this guy, pushing his luck, squeezed my palm. Baby, it's not listening again. As he spoke, he guided my hand downwards. I felt like my entire body was on fire. They say a man in the morning is the most dangerous, so I frantically tried to pull my hand away. You. Go take care of it in the bathroom. But, pushing his luck even further, rubbed against me, his morning voice incredibly hoarse. No. His burning breath fanned my ear. Just this once, why don't you try? No. My voice was trembling. I can't. Before I could finish, Ryder chuckled softly and lifted me onto the vanity, his strong arms encircling me. His 8-pack abs were right there, and my gaze involuntarily drifted downwards. The outline of that area was already very noticeable. Ryder followed my gaze, then lowered his head, a cocky smile playing on his lips. Baby, are you getting impatient? I clapped a hand over his mouth. What are you talking about? Shut up. The amusement in his eyes deepened, and he lightly kissed my palm. All right, I'm the impatient one. Ryder held my hand, gently rubbing it under warm water. My lips were numb and swollen, and I leaned in his arms, taking shallow breaths, my eyes red like a rabbit's. "You just like to pick on me," I accused between sobs. He gently patted my back with one hand, while with the other, he used his thumb to wipe away the tears from the corners of my eyes, smiling helplessly and dotingly. He leaned down and kissed the top of my head. "Cry again and I'll tease you even more." With red eyes, I reached out. "Carry me down." Ryder simply picked me up by my armpits, then took the washcloth and gently wiped my face. After wiping, he insisted on giving me a kiss. Then he pinched my cheek again, teasingly saying, "Why is my baby so beautiful?" I was so embarrassed I pushed him right out of the bathroom. "Get out." Once we were ready, we drove to Lake. During the 2-hour drive, Ryder held the steering wheel with one hand, occasionally humming along to the music, his voice clear and pleasant. At the end of the highway, the morning sun slowly rose, casting golden rays throughout the car. I watched the scenery rapidly receding outside the window, a smile unconsciously spreading across my face. Ryder suddenly lowered the car window, and a clean breeze rushed in. I excitedly reached out to meet the wind, my heart filled with an ineffable joy. 09, I leaned halfway out the car window, shouting into the empty highway, "Dear." He responded with a smile. "I'm here," I thought. This must be what happiness feels like. By serene, Ryder chased me around with his camera, taking a ton of photos. On the way back, I nestled in the passenger seat, meticulously selecting photos for a photo grid, preparing to make an official announcement on my social media post. I specifically chose a close-up selfie of our faces pressed together and placed it in the center of the photo grid. Caption: "Going to see the whole world with this person." The moment I posted it, my screen filled with likes, the most prominent being Grandpa's flood of rose emojis. I could just picture the old man, reading glasses perched on his nose, clumsily tapping away at his phone screen. I hugged my phone, grinning foolishly, my heart overflowing with sweetness. I stretched out my voice lazily, calling Ryder's name in a playful, intermittent way. Each time I called, he answered patiently without a hint of annoyance. Am I being too childish? Sunlight streamed through the car window, casting a golden glow on his profile, illuminating each individual eyelash. Suddenly, he slammed on the brakes, pulling the car over to the side of the road. He turned his head, pulling me towards him in one swift motion, cupping the back of my head as he kissed me deeply. I blinked, a little dazed, still trying to process what was happening. He then lightly pecked my lips again. "Stella, I just love this childish side of you." His fingertips caressed my burning earlobe. "The more you act like this, the more it shows how much you depend on me." I couldn't be happier about it. Like feathers gently tickling my heart, I nudged his arm. "Ryder, you totally love me, don't you?" I knew the answer, but I just had to hear him say it himself. "Stella," he said, pinching my nose. "Is your head just for decoration? It glows but doesn't think?" I playfully buried my face in his chest. "I don't care, just say it." Ryder sighed, his fingertips gently twirling my earlobe. "Listen closely." My eyes sparkled as I nodded. "Ryder," he declared, suddenly serious, "am completely smitten with Stella this lifetime." He paused, then added with a smile, "and the kind where I'm falling deeper and deeper." My eyes suddenly stung. "When did you start liking me?" He chuckled, ruffling my hair. "Who knows? It's as natural as breathing. Who remembers when their first breath began?" My eyes felt warm. "So you were always picking on Julian, because you were jealous?" "What else?" He flicked my forehead. "Just realizing that now? You're so clueless." As soon as we entered the hotel, Ryder saw my social media post. He scooped me up and spun me around, showering my face with kisses like a giant puppy. "Is my baby making it official?" I laughed and kissed him back. "Yep. I'm so happy," he said, pressing his forehead against mine, his eyes shining incredibly bright. I feigned disdain. "Ryder, you really are easily pleased." 10. The day Ryder proposed to me was New Year's Eve. I had just turned 20 not long before. Counting on my fingers, it had already been 14 years since I first met him. That year, when I was 6, I first met an 8-year-old Ryder at Grandpa's townhouse. He was proudly showing off Grandpa's cricket cage to me. But I was so terrified by the lively bug that I burst into tears, turning to run and tell Grandpa. Little stood there dumbfounded, not even realizing the crick T had escaped, simply scratching his head. That afternoon, he spent the entire day with his rear end sticking up, digging around in our flower bed. I sat on the doorstep, munching on watermelon, watching him fret, sweat beading on his forehead. In the end, he didn't find the cricket, but he did get a good scolding from his own grandpa. Grandpa, standing nearby, laughed so hard he slapped his thigh. As I was reminiscing about these childhood memories, Ryder suddenly slipped a ring onto my finger. I haven't even said yes yet, and you've already put it on? I glared at him. He smiled cockily and mischievously. Grandpa drank the fine-aged scotch I gave him and said he'd only accept me as his grandson-in-law. Who proposes like that? There's no romance at all. I playfully punched his chest in annoyance. Ryder grinned slyly and pulled out another ring. Want a romantic proposal? How about you propose to me then? His audacity made me chase after him, playfully hitting him. He ran ahead, shouting, "Grandpa! Your granddaughter-in-law is abusing me." Grandpa came out, remote in hand, to watch the spectacle, shouting into the house, "Margaret, come see. Our kiddo is quite something." Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.